Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of CEO and Market Expert Interviews. I'm your host, Lucian. Most of you know me as Triangle Investor from social medias. We are covering today Tocvan Ventures, a gold silver exploration and development company with assets in the Sonora State of Mexico. I'm joined by their CEO, Mr. Brodie Sutherland. Brodie, you're for the first time in my show. Great to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. I look forward to hear more about your company. But let's start with the 2, 3 minute overview of your background and why are you the right man for the job?
Perfect. So I guess I'm a geologist by background. Been working in the mining industry for over 18 years now, primarily looking for mineral deposits, gold, silver, copper, but a range of commodities. Very fortunate early in my career to work internationally. Spent over 6 years working in 20 countries as a consultant, looking to improve projects, advance them forward towards production. And really, that's what we're utilizing today in Sonora, Mexico. Spent 2 years in the Amazon, a couple of years in the Arctic, in Greenland, northern Canada, in the US and Alaska. Uh, and that's a breath of fresh air, really, when we look at operating in Sonora, Mexico. It's extremely accessible, a very easy place to operate relative to those jurisdictions. And really, my background's all about adding value, finding mineral deposits, growing them, advancing them through to production, and that's why we feel I'm the right fit for this job. We started out with Tocvan in 2019. I started as a founder of the company, initially an independent director that transformed over time into VP Exploration, and then in 2022 took over the role of CEO. And that's what's led us to here today. But again, it's my background is technical, but I've been in the CEO chair long enough now to have kind of learned the other side of our industry, which is the market, and making sure that we have proper support and structure to advance our company through that.
Sounds good. You touched on Mexico and a jurisdiction. I would like to hear more. I would like to hear your experience of doing business in Mexico as a jurisdiction where you operate. Mexico's mining industry is undergoing significant transformation, I would dare to say. But some
Yep.
say that there are some regulatory uncertainties, open questions. How are you
Sure.
viewing that?
Yeah, it's been an interesting few years in Mexico. I think exactly how you've put it, there's been uncertainty, but I think the key thing is really understanding the context of that uncertainty and understanding that, we are very comfortable and confident in that projects will be advanced and permits will be uh, released from the government as these projects move through mine development. And really to understand that, first off, you have to take a look at Mexico. And we're in Sonora, Mexico, which is the most mine-friendly state out of all the states in Mexico. It is also one of the northernmost states. It shares a border with Arizona. Uh, so it's a different dynamic there, a different stakeholder. The local community engagement is much, much different. And this is a jurisdiction that really has grown up with mining. And because of that, there's a deep appreciation for it and a deep understanding for it. And so we come from a place where, one, it has that community support. Two, the environment is ideal in terms of a development. We're in a semi-arid desert, low rolling hills, not a lot for vegetation. It makes it the easiest place when you look to advance a project and permit it on that perspective. And then when you look at the, more of the macro scale, looking at the politics in Mexico, uh, the past president AMLO was very vocal and against in certain places mining. And the key thing there was that mines were permitted when AMLO was in power. Now there's a new president, Claudia Sheinbaum, comes from the same political party. But she has made some very key indications that she is open for business, especially in mine development that makes sense, that has community support, that, has minimal environmental impact. And again, I think we're in a jurisdiction that checks those boxes. The other, key thing to look at is there's concern about mining and the permitting there, but you have to look at it in a relative sense. The concern is that pre-COVID, you could permit a mine in 9 months. Now we're looking at a timeline that's probably closer to 18 to 24 months. But look at that relative to other top mining jurisdictions, like Canada, like the US. It likely takes you a decade to permit a mine. So, I mean, we're still looking at a very quick timeline to advance things in Mexico. There's been some great indications recently that things are improving. We've seen some news and some articles from the legal side in Mexico, again, very encouraging towards the outlook towards in mining in Mexico. So, we'll see how that plays out, but again, we're very comfortable and confident in the future there.
Okay, as I remember correctly, there are few familiar names, mining companies already operating there. Can you name some?
How much time do you have? So,
Let's name top five, top 10 maybe.
so I mean, you start with the biggest silver producer in the world, Fresnillo.
Yeah.
London Stock Exchange listed Mexican company, was the biggest gold producer until Torex took that title from them just over a year ago. You've got Agnico Eagle, you've got Alamos Gold, you've got Cisco's got some property north of us. You've got BHP with big exploration ground for copper.
First
Uh,
Majestic, right?
First Majestic, Silvercrest just got bought by Core Mining for 1.7 billion for their asset in Sonora. Uh, the list goes on. I mean, there's just quality companies there that have grown up, have become producers, because of these assets in Mexico. And I think there's some, there's other early indications. We've seen the rise of Heliostar taking over the old Argonaut Gold assets. That's been extremely encouraging. There's several others, just companies that are really taking shape because of the opportunity that Mexico presents.
Yeah, let's cover your projects. You have two projects there, Gran Pilar and El Piacho. Let's cover, maybe let's start with Gran Pilar. The drilling is underway there, right, at the moment?
That's right. Yeah, we completed some holes before the holidays. We are expecting results for those fairly soon. And the significance of those holes, they're RC, so they're kind of more reconnaissance on the northern end of what has been defined in the past for mineralization. So these are kind of extending potential for mineralization, which, I think we're encouraged on the outlook of that. And then for the core drilling, which is ongoing right now, I think we've got 6 holes completed. They're on the seventh hole right now. This is doing infill and some step out drilling through what we've been drilling on in the last 3.5 years. And that's really building out towards a maiden resource estimate that we're targeting to put out later this year. Pilar has now seen over 26,000 meters of drilling on it. It's never seen a resource. We're looking to start with one. And the significance there is that all of that drilling has been focused on 5% of our project area. We now control a bigger land package that has never seen drilling, and that's what we're looking to target next. And I think that's going to showcase our bigger upside.
Okay, maiden resource by the end of the year. After that, what is the timeline for the next moves? Let's say PEA, FS production. Can you give me some color on that?
Yeah, I think our expectation is, well, really, I mean, starting with this year, we look to continue to drill. We have lots of targets to go after. We're also looking to complete a pilot test mine on site and process 50,000 tons. We've done a bulk sample in 2023 that was very successful. Great head grade. We had 1.9 grams per ton gold for the head grade. Good recovery for your standard heap leach. Also showcasing good potential for gravity and agitated leach, over 95% recovery there. So the pilot is looking to build off that and further showcase that potential. We're going to be working through that this year. On the back end of that, and likely tied at the same time when we're planning to put out a resource, then start the application process for full-scale mining. And our expectation is that once that's submitted, it'll be 18 months.
Mhm.
It could be shorter because the government offices are looking to increase their staff to get caught up on a lot of things. So that time frame could shorten, but that's what we're looking at right now. As we go through that, we'll continue to drill. And again, we've got 22 square kilometers of area that it looks very prospective. We think we have two mineralized systems that each are significant on their own that need to be tested. So we'll continue to do that and build out further resource potential. At the same time, looking to put out a PEA to further support the economics. And that'll lead us to, being able to make a construction decision, in a 2-year time frame from now. And I think given where gold has gone already, and the lag in the market response for a lot of the equities, I think that puts us in a really strong place, and we'll see where gold goes over the next 2 years, but I think it'll be even stronger. So it's all about just continuing to build out resource potential, de-risk the project through permitting, through metallurgy, through drilling, and be ready for a strong market.
Got it. What about you mentioned drilling this year? Do you know approximately how many meters do you plan to drill?
Yeah, it'll be right now we're looking at approximately 5,000 meters. We'll increase that if we're successful in getting more capital in later in the year, which I think we will. We have warrants that are at 50 cents, which we're trading at right now. I think, with a good market and good results moving in the right direction, we can likely see a significant amount of those warrants come in, and that will further allow us to expand our drilling budget. We've got 10 to 15,000 meters that we've got slated right now that we can get after as the budget allows us to, and just keep going from there. So we do expect a lot of drill results to trickle out from now to the third quarter of this year.
Okay, that is just for Gran Pilar, right?
Just Gran Pilar, yeah.
Okay, okay. Let's move to El Piacho. Overview plans for 2025. Tell me more.
Yeah, so Picacho for us is an earlier stage project. But it's big. It's 24 square kilometers, and it's in a great location. It's 18 kilometers away from the San Francisco mine, which is offline right now, but has been on and off production over the last 20 years. There's over 2 million ounces of gold contained in that deposit, and we're within eyesight of it. This is part of a northern trend in Mexico called the Caborca orogenic belt. This is host to the biggest deposits for gold in northern Mexico. Includes La Herradura, which Fresnillo owns. It's over 10 million ounces with over 5 million ounces of gold and satellite deposits around it. So this is where you look for big deposits. What's interesting about Picacho is that it's still surrounded this day by one of the majors. Fresnillo has a bunch of ground around it. It has 7 kilometers of prospective trend that has not been drill tested, but is defined by high grade gold and silver on artisanal workings, which we have mapped out. In 2022, we drilled there once in a reconnaissance program, 1,000 meters, had a discovery right at surface, a nice hole over 60 meters of 0.6 gram per ton material with a nice higher grade zone within that. We have not been back to drill at Picacho because of all the work and activity at Gran Pilar. So it's a great project. I think it adds value for us later on in our development. and we'll look to slowly move it forward. We're constantly advancing those drilling targets. We'll be doing that again this year. And when the timing is right, we'll look to advance our drilling efforts at Picacho and see what we can unlock there. But it's yeah, it's a great asset that I think provides big upside for us later on.
Uh, Picacho is 100% owned by your company.
We have 100% control on Picacho. Yeah,
Okay,
that's right.
my yeah, the reason why I'm asking, would you be open for JV or some form of partnership or even a sale of the Picacho
It's
project?
yeah, definitely. I mean, we're open to anything that makes sense for the shareholders. We'll see. I think as this gold market as it heats up, as you know, I think as there's more green lights in terms of operating in Mexico, um, I think we could see a lot of interest for it. We'll see. We're definitely open to that.
Okay, similar question. M&A, are you also open to buy another project, stake more land adjacent to your properties?
Always, we're always evaluating what makes sense for our shareholders. Uh, I think, just over the last year, we've consolidated a big land package around Pilar's main zone. And, we've got a lot of work that we want to do within that. But if there's a right opportunity, we're always looking for it. I think the advantage that we have is we have a great operating team in Mexico that gets their eyes into a lot of things around us, and it's constantly evaluating that and seeing what makes sense for us. And again, that having that comfort in Mexico allows us to evaluate these projects and see if they make sense for us in our portfolio. Uh, that being said, we have a lot of work to do with Gran Pilar in itself, and we want to continue to focus and advance that as we go. And we'll evaluate any other opportunities as they present themselves.
Yeah, and the money is very important part of all the plans, of course. What is your current cash position as we speak?
Yeah, so we are in the midst of a financing right now. We've closed 2.1 million before the holiday break. We've got close to 3 million of working capital and cash available to us. Now we're looking to close another 900,000 Canadian of that financing here shortly. It's looking like we're getting very close to hitting our goal there. Uh, so we're in a good position financially there. Again, we have these warrants that are just in the money where we're trading today, and I think with a healthy market over the next year, we could see a few of those come in to help support. And I think we're in a very interesting position in terms of the company with looking to advance with the test mine, with all the drilling that we have planned. Um, I think we're having more and more discussions with bigger institutions that could help support us all the way to construction decision. And obviously, we're constantly evaluating that and seeing what group makes the most sense for us to advance.
Yeah, my next question is actually about your shareholder registries, your shareholder summary. How much is retail? How much is institutional insiders? Can you give me some breakdown of the numbers?
Yeah, for insiders and close associates, so we kind of group everyone that's been involved and part of the company from inception, and those long supporters. That's about 25% of the stock. So that's in very long hands that we're comfortable with. We've got a family fund that has just under 10%. So there we're up to 35% that we know where those shareholders are. And then the rest is, that 65% is high net worth, retail. And, again, we know the large majority of those owners and where those shares are placed. So it leaves us with not a lot of float out there in terms of, what's regularly trading, which is an advantage in a market like this. I think it helps us kind of navigate through that We have been very mindful of capital since the start of the company. We've been around for 4.5, almost 5 years now, and have 56 million shares issued. So, I think that that should tell you how mindful we are of dilution and how we utilize capital. So, yeah, overall, it's a tight share structure. There is a lot out in the retail, high net worth space. But again, they've been very long and supportive of us for many years.
Yeah. What about G&A numbers? How much are you spending when you are not drilling? How much are you spending when you're drilling? That's a different story. I got it. But let's say,
Yep.
what is your average monthly cash burn?
Average for G&A is around 60,000 Canadian. When we're drilling, typically we budget for approximately 200,000 in addition to that. And so if we're drilling actively for most of the year, which typically we are, then we see those costs increase. But if we're not, then it's very light and manageable for those quieter periods. Typically in Mexico, where we are, it gets very hot in the summer. So we tend to drill anywhere between late September through to early July. July, August, we typically don't drill just because of the heat. It gets up to 50 degrees Celsius. You get flash storms, which obviously just can complicate things. So we tend to pause for those months, but other than that, we're active year round in terms of exploration, and 10 months of the year we're active with the drill.
Okay, what about marketing? How are you approaching marketing? Can you tell the story better? How much do you spend on marketing?
Sure. Yeah, I mean it's been something that we've been supportive of over the last few years. I think it's a necessity, given how many companies are out there in the space. And let's be honest, it's been harder and harder to attract capital into the mining sector. So it's just a key part of what we need to do. But we tend to set out about $500,000 towards marketing each year for different initiatives. A lot of it is just coordinating face-to-face meetings, flying around to meet new investors, prospective ones as well. Um, but doing kind of everything we can in terms of getting our outreach out there, talking to the right people. All those costs add up, but again, it's a necessary piece to be able to communicate properly our story.
Agreed. What about your team? Can you tell me more about your team? Who is on your management side, advisory side?
hmm Yeah, I mean, we're very fortunate in that early on we wanted to build a strong roster in Mexico. Being cognizant of the fact that if we're going to advance anything there, we need a strong team. That starts with Rodrigo Calles Montillo. He's a geologist, over 35 plus years experience. Uh, he's from Sonora, worked for Rio Tinto and Kennecott internationally. Actually had a big hard rock lithium discovery in Serbia, and then came back to Sonora, built a technical team around him, and that's really our technical team today. Rodrigo is very experienced in advancing these types of projects. He is a great communicator with the local stakeholders and a big part of the success that we've had down in Sonora. We've also added Luis Manuel Arroyo Dominguez. He's a mine engineer with 50 years of experience in Mexico. I always joke that Luis should be retired, but he just loves the industry so much that he always wants to be involved. So, what's great about Luis is he's got a great background with a range of experience, a lot on mine development side, taking projects like Gran Pilar through to production, and also on the environmental side, making sure that companies are doing the right thing to tick those boxes as they go through the permitting process and as they're operating as mines. So, that's a great wealth of knowledge right there. And then our technical team on the ground, and in terms of the advisories, we've got about 8 geologists at our deployment based in Hermosillo, the capital of Sonora, with a range of experience, and they're the ones on the ground getting things done. And again, every program we've been successful. It's because of that team that we have there. And then beyond that, we've got great support in terms on the corporate side. We got Yana Salina as our CFO. She's been working for junior exploration companies for well over a decade. Just great wealth of knowledge for the company and keeps us light and lean to operate here in Canada. And then we've got a director in Germany, Ralph Wintermantel, who's comes from a finance background. He was an editor for a magazine that Deutsche Bank had back in 2012. Well connected over there, well respected, and a great conduit for us to our investors over in Europe. And I'm really proud of the team that we've put together and the fact that we've really focused our technical team, especially in Mexico. And we're constantly looking to build out that roster. But we're very confident in what we can do and advancing this project all the way through to production.
Final question, Brodie. That is Newsflow. What can investors expect in the terms of Newsflow and when, of course?
Sure. Yeah, I think we're coming into an exciting time. We've got RC drill results that are pending. We expect in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We've got the core drill turning right now. We're expecting those results to start coming out late February into March, and then see a continuation of that with more drilling to come throughout the year. Later in February, we're looking to start breaking ground for the test mine. So we'll start to see some results come out of that. We're also permitting for exploration drilling on our bigger expansion area, which again has never seen drilling. So I think that'll be a great catalyst for us as well. Ongoing exploration on the ground, going through the test mine, extracting that material, sampling it, crushing it, stacking it, extracting gold and silver, pouring doré. We expect all of that for this year. And then later on in the year, resource estimate, maiden coming out for Pilar's main zone, and continuing to advance the project there, and probably some updates on where we're at with looking to initiate our full-scale mine permitting as well. So we expect a very news-heavy year for us. I think it'll be very busy, and I think it's also going to be very exciting.
Excellent, Brodie, and I wish you luck with that. That was CEO Brodie Sutherland, Tocvan Ventures. Brodie, let's talk again when we will have some new updates.
Sounds good. Look forward to it. Take care.